Hey guys, thank you for purchasing bottle lamp making kit. In this video, I'm going to show you all the components in the kit, how to drill your bottle using those components, and how to finish the wiring and create, hopefully, a beautiful bottle lamp like this lovely lock mask bottle here. At the end, we'll run through some of the questions people have commonly on the light bulbs, and I hope you enjoy the video. So let's go through all the components. Here we have the set of instructions, which comes with clearly labeled instructions with some photos, and a little card which gives a QR code to this video, which is very handy. Some of the other items. We have the cable set. This is a pre-wired cord set, which comes with a 3 amp UK plug that's pre-wired, and also a pre-wired dimmer switch, so we can adjust the dim on the bulb, and the terminals, live or neutral, for our bulb holder are dressed and ready for a final connection. We would recommend that you do not at any stage plug this in without having the final connections wired. If you're unsure of anything to do with wiring, please contact someone who knows or is qualified, or get in touch with us directly. Do not attempt anything unless you're fully comfortable and aware of what you're doing and following the instructions properly. Electricity is dangerous and can kill, so please make sure you're competent and confident before you attempt it. It is very straightforward, and we're going to show you exactly how to do it in this video. Some of the other components in the kit: we have our bulb holder, which has a pre-fitted rubber bone. This can be taken off with a little nut, and then the adequate size can be applied depending on the neck size of your bottle. So we have 5 different options to suit, from very small, 16 millimeters, all the way up to large, 24 millimeters. So depending on what bottle neck you have, they all vary. You will need the bung to suit. This makes a very secure connection for the bulb holder to sit into the bottle. The rest of the kit then, we have a drill bit, which is the first tool we're going to use. This is a 10 millimeter diamond core drill bit that is perfect for drilling a 10 millimeter hole inside our bottle. It also comes with a little sponge. This is a little tip which I will show you very soon. We have a cord grip used for securing the cable as it enters the bottle, stopping it from being pulled. We also have our guide, which is very handy for starting our drill. And we then have a little paper cup for water, and we have a little drip bottle we're dropping onto our drill bit when we're drilling. That's the complete components of the kit. So let's get making our bottle. So step 1 is drilling our bottle. We need to make a 10 millimeter hole in our bottle for our cable to go through. From the kit, we're going to use our little cup filled with water, our little drip bottle also filled with water. We have our guide, we have our drill bit, and we have a little sponge. Now, before we start, personal protective equipment is very important. So you will need a decent pair of gloves, some safety glasses, some ear defenders, and you will need a standard drill. This drill is rated to 2000 RPM. Anything in and around that will work sufficiently for our drill bit. Okay, before we start, I have 2 really good top tips. I'm sure you're all wondering what this little piece of sponge was for. So what this is to lubricate the bit automatically. So if you twist this and just push it up inside the hollow bit, like so, till it just protrudes ever so slightly, like so. And then we dip it into our cup and allow it to soak up some of the water. The second tip: get an old t-shirt, find a sleeve, short sleeve or long sleeve, and just cut off one of the sleeves. You can then pinch it with your fingers in the middle somewhere, like so, and just cut a little hole. Watch your fingers, put a little hole out, and we have a nice little hole. What this does is protects any of the labels on some of the bottles. So on this lock mask bottle, we have a beautiful caper label. So obviously when we're drilling, we do not want any of the water to impact the label. So hence, we can put our t-shirt around our bottle before we drill, and we have absorption for any of the excess water we might have. Okay guys, now that we have everything prepared, we will mark our bottle where we want to drill it. So in this case, I think right at the back, directly behind the label, is a nice place. A lot of the bottles have a little groove here, which the labeling machine in the factory uses to mark the back of the bottle to put the label on. So it's often a good guide of where to drill. It's really up to you. You can drill anywhere at all. There's no restrictions. Just be careful that the bottle doesn't have a big concave inside the base here. You want to try and stay a little bit higher if you do have a large concave base. In this case, it's not too bad, so I think we're going to go just about here. We'll mark it with a little X with a marker, and that's where we're going to try and drill. So once we have it marked, safety equipment, we've got our earmuffs, we've got a pair of safety gloves, and we've got our safety glasses. Once we have our bottle marked and our safety equipment on, we pull our little sleeve over so that we have our position. What we might do to protect our nice tablecloth is put down an old rag or t-shirt just to place where any excess water might drip. You want to make sure that it has a nice strong table underneath you so you have a supportive base. Once we have that ready, you take our drill bit, dampen off any excess water, secure it into our drill. We want to make sure a couple of settings on our drill are right. So we have the drill setting and we have it on the highest costal speed, speed 2. The key with drilling is to start slowly and try to make a little well. This well we will use for our water. So we'll drip on drops of water to lubricate our drill bit. You don't necessarily have to apply water, but it does extend the lifespan of our drill bit by a lot. So typically you might get 3 to 5 bottles from one drill bit with no water. Once we apply the water, that can extend the life to 20 to 30. Even some of them I've got 50 bottles out of. So it really makes it worthwhile. We will be using our little guide. So this basically is a 10mm hole that the drill bit will sit into as we drill and keep it steady. We'll just use this for the start of the process. So to begin, we place it over our little X using our free hand to securely hold the bottle in place. Then we will start with our drill bit, nice and slowly. Just after a couple of seconds, we can have a look at what we've got, and we have a nice little moat forming. What we'll use this little moat for is to reapply some more water as we're drilling. The key with the drill is to take it slow and steady and not to make too many sudden movements. Sudden movements may cause the glass to crack. So once we start, you can keep going. Start slowly and work up the bug. Taking your time. A slight rocking motion and a slight in and out motion. Very slight will help the drill bit. And as soon as you start seeing some of that white kind of sludge or dust, it's time to reapply a couple of drops of water to lubricate our drill. As the water wears out, you can reapply some more. As I said, this will greatly extend the lifespan of your drill bit. And we've gone through. You can use the sleeve to wipe away any excess silica. And you can see we have a really nice clean 10mm hole. Okay guys, now that we have our bottle drilled, our next step is to just give it a little clean out. I don't have a sink at hand, but at home, please feel free to use your kitchen sink. Give it a couple of cleans, and then I would recommend to leave it dry overnight. Let all the moisture dry out so that it's good to wear. So in order to clear it, very important, and this has got me out so many times, put your thumb over the hole before you fill it with water. Be careful not to spill any water onto the labels. Obviously you want to try and maintain the beautiful paper label, and any water may leave a stain. I would fill it about a third or a half even. Put your other hand over the end, give it a good shake, and then let your water out. And I probably do this twice or 3 times depending on how dirty the bottle is inside. This also helps to take away any of the residue that might be left from the alcohol inside. So if it's an older bottle that you've had lying around for a while, it's no harm getting some clean water in there and getting any residue out. It's not such a problem with the blue, green or brown or dark bottles, but with the clear bottles, it's really nice to have it clear so you can see the beautiful cable on the inside running up the bottle, which is a very nice feature. So once we have it done, we can have a lovely clean, clear bottle, leave it on your sideboard or your sink to dry overnight. And now we'll move on to step 3, which is the wiring. So here we have our bulb holder, and this is the little locking pin I was talking about. So if we look on the inside, we can see the different terminals, and we can see here, this one here is the locking pin. So it's touching up against the ceramic edge. So what we got to do is get our screwdriver in behind it and just pop it forward slightly, nice and gentle. So you can now see it's in front of the little ceramic insert, so we can now unscrew it. I'm trying to video it, you can see it. Now see, it's caught another one of the edges. So again, put our screwdriver in, our flathead one, and just free it. The first 3 or 4 you're going to have to just manipulate it till you get it out, and then it should start blowing nice and freely. And you can unscrew the top half and then take our ceramic insert out, and then we have our bulb holder freed. So now that we have our bulb holder disassembled, we can now reassemble it with our bungs and figure out which bung we're going to use. So this Lockmass bottle has quite a large diameter. The bungs supplied go from 16, 18, 20, 22 mil and 24 mil. And the way they work is as they're compressed, they expand and make a seal against the glass. It's quite a clever little way of doing it. Now, if you have a neck size that is larger than 26 millimeters, you will need a larger bung. If you have a neck size narrower than 16 mil, you will need a smaller bung as well. 95% of all bottles are within this size range. It can be like some of the very large demijohn bottles, some of the really teeny tiny whiskey bottles, but very few of them are less than 16 millimeters. So you're fairly covered. If you said your neck size is between 16 and 26 millimeters, this kit will work for it. So once your bottle is dry, you're going to select one of the bungs and see quite loose. So we're needing our 24 millimeter bung, which actually will be perfect. So it's just loose in the top. You can measure it with calipers or a tape and try and see. Probably a more accurate way of doing it, but I think this one is the 24 millimeter bung. So it just needs to be slightly loose inside the bottle, not too tight. As we compress it, it'll make a nice seal. So we have a washer for each bung. So first of all, our washer goes on. then our bung, then we have our nut. Now this process is to be done by hand, and we've just got to tighten in our nut. And you can slowly but surely see the rubber silicone expanding. Now let's see if that goes. And you can see now we have a really snug fit on our bottle, and we can tighten it even further by twisting it by hand. Now I don't want to do it fully just yet, so I'm going to loosen it and take it out so we can put our cable in. So in order to do our cable, we just take our end with our dress terminals, which is here. We have brown for live, we have blue for neutral, and we have yellow and green for earth. So they're pre-dressed and ready to be finished. We have our little cord grip. This is a clever little device which stops the cable from being pulled out of the bottle. So what we're going to do is, first of all, take the female part, put it onto our cord set like so. If it's not going on freely, a little twist helps it. You get different manufacturers have different thicknesses of cables. They can vary by 1 or 2 millimeters. Sometimes it can be really smooth going over. Sometimes it just needs a little twist. So let that down, and then we're going to thread our cable up through our bottle. I find putting a little gentle kink on the cable can help it. And then we're going to go in through our drilled hole, like so, using the side of the bottle. And we'll see our cable coming up. Most of the time, just pops out nice and easily from the top. If you're struggling and you have a longer neck on your bottle, a long nose pliers is very handy. You can scoop it out. If you're really struggling, tie a string on the ends, get a magnet with a little screw on the other end, and feed it up through the bottle. But I've never had to do that. Generally, all of the time it works. So then we take our male part with the pincers. So that's going on next. Pincers facing down, and then again a little twist to help it over the terminals. And we're going to feed some slack, and then feed down our male part, holding the cable, gently feed it down. You'll see the male part protruding through the bottle, and then we can tighten our female part on like so. Now we can tighten it fully for now to show you, but that will stop the cable from pulling. The tighter you go, you won't be able to pull the cable out. I'm going to loosen it for now so we can do our final connections. Once we have the cable threaded through and our cord grip nice and loose, we go back to our bulb holder, and we're going to thread this through as well. So we bring our 3 cables through. Again, the same sort of twisting motion to help them over the terminals, and then they will pop out the end. Like so. And we have our bung ready to go in. I'm going to feed it back ever so slightly just so I can get my hand on top. And then we're just going to gently push our bung in, and we shall tighten our bung even further by hand. If you find it's not biting, you can pull it out ever so slightly till you get the bite, and then push back in. And as you're twisting and pulling, you can actually see the rubber hugging the outside of the bottle and making a really super tight seal. It doesn't need to be done anything more than hand tight till you can't easily twist it anymore. It doesn't need to be forced. So now we have our cable fully protruding, our 3 terminals, and we're going to move on to our final stage, connecting our ceramic bulb holder. So we're just going to do a little video of the ceramic bulb holder, their final stage for wiring. So on this side you can see there are 3 terminals, 2 lower down, 1 higher up. And on the other side you can see what they're for. So the higher up one, which correlates to these pins here, is the earth. And if we flip it over, you can see that connects to there. So the earth pins connect to touch off the side of the bulb holder as it's screwed in and make an earth connection, which is very safe. As it's a metal bulb holder, this is required. The next is the live and the neutral. So typically the live is the connection which runs to the center of the bulb holder. So if we look where that is, we just flip it over. That's the live connection there. And flip it back. And we look at the one opposite it, which just goes to here. That's our neutral connection here. If we also look back at the live one, you can then see the little locking pin we were talking about here. So that's what we had to adjust to unlock the bulb holder earlier. So now let's wire it up. Now you can see we're at the stage of connecting our ceramic bulb holder. We have brown as live, blue as neutral, and we have yellow and green as our earth. And as we discussed, we're going to connect, follow our rationale where our central connection, flip it over, and that's our live. So we'll start with our live. We want to just put it into the terminal, and with our PH1 Phillips screwdriver, we're going to just screw it in like so. We want it to be hand tight, not over tightened, just until there is no more bite from the screw. We'll go with our earth terminal next. I need to loosen your screw a touch to get it in. And then again, the same principle, we're just hand tightening our terminals in till they're hand tight, not forced any tighter. And then we go with our neutral. And we want to double check our three terminals that they're in the right positions, live, neutral, earth, and that they're fully connected. There should be no movement as you gently pull. Once we have our three connections in, give it a tiny little twist, and we'll feed some of the cable back down. And I'm going to do another close-up video of how this connects into the bulb holder. Before we put our ceramic insert in, I just want to show you the inside of the bulb holder has a couple of guides. So you can see just here, there is a guide that is high and a guide that is low. And there's the same on both sides. So there's one high and one low on the other side too. So you can mount it either side. So the way it works is this large slot on the side of the bulb of the insert has to go where the higher of the two slots is. And once you do that, your bulb holder sits in lovely and flush. Your ceramic insert sits in lovely and flush with your bulb holder. Now, it does tend to try and want to pop back out from the flex on the cable. So a handy little tip is to use your screwdriver, get your bulb holder top on the ends, and just use your screwdriver to gently hold the ceramic bulb holder in place as we screw it on. And swap hands, and there we go. And again, it's a hand tighten procedure. Let's get it nice and tight. And we can see our little locking pin can be pushed back into place. A lot of the time the little locking pin will click as you're tightening, so you get clicking sounds to indicate that it's in. So now we have our fully finished bulb holder. Okay guys, so we've got our bulb holder finished. Our very final step is to just adjust our cord grip and the position of our cable inside the bottle. So you can adjust it by twisting slightly, by pulling back and forward till it's in a position that you are happy with, that looks very aesthetically pleasing. Once you've got it done, you can tighten in the female part until you get it to bite. And as you tighten, that will mean your cord can no longer pull out. And our lamp is almost finished. We have our plug still with our safety feature on it. And we'll get a nice incandescent light bulb, which are available as part of the kit or as an additional extra. We'll take off our safety feature, plug in our plug to a socket, and turn on our lamp. Hey, voila. Hey guys, so this is some bonus footage just about the different light bulbs that are available at the moment. And so I think a lot of you will know the terminology incandescent and LED. They're predominantly the two forms of light bulbs that are on the market at the moment for table lamps. Here we have the incandescent light bulb, and here we have the LED light bulb. Both very beautiful in their own right, but let's talk about them in a little bit in more detail. So firstly, the incandescent light bulb. This light bulb is also called a Thomas Edison or an Edison filament bulb. It's attributed to Thomas Edison, who invented it in the late 1800s, as far as I know. He takes credit for developing it. I think Nikola Tesla had a lot to do with the technology behind it, but that's another story. So the Edison filament light bulb, how does it work? You've got a glass bulb that's sealed, so no air in there. There's an inert gas, typically either argon or nitrogen in there. And that's there to protect the filaments, which are made from tungsten. So they're tiny little tungsten filaments of metal. And as you pass the currents, electricity current flows through the wires, they heat up. And that increased heat produces the light, and you get that lovely warm effect. So inside this, there are 28 different tungsten filaments joined together in spiral pattern to create the spiral filament. You will see other filament types. We have a straight up and down, more traditional classic type filament available as well. The technology hasn't changed in over 100 years. It's still the exact same. It produces a very warm atmospheric type of light. The big drawback, there are a couple, but some of the big drawbacks with incandescent light bulbs is they're incredibly delicate. So the filaments are fragile. Any hard knocks or bangs, they're susceptible to go. Once one filament goes, your series is broken and the light bulb is gone, I'm afraid. The second drawback is energy consumption and lifespan. So typically we go up to the full output, which is here. This lamp bulb is taking in 40 watts of electricity and producing 40 watts of light. So you're consuming 40 watts all of the time. However, if we use a dimmer and reduce the input and output down, at the lowest setting it's inputting 5 watts and outputting 5 watts of light. Not a lot. Not going to light your room up, not even going to light a corner of your room up, but produces a very atmospheric, beautiful light to look at. The other drawback, I suppose, is apart from being delicate and the high energy consumption, is the lifespan. So on full output, the manufacturer recommends 3 to 5 years before one of the filaments starts to degrade. But because of the dimmer, you're reducing the workload on the filaments, and you typically do get a lot longer out of them. So down on the lowest setting, you could expect anything over 10 years. Typically, probably at 15 watts, you should get between 5 and 10 years on the lifespan. It is a dying technology. They're slowly being replaced, or quickly being replaced by LEDs, and eventually they will become obsolete. I really think there's an argument for saying that if you use dimmer technology to reduce the input-output wattage consumption, and that it's more of an aesthetic thing, that there's still a place for them. So let's move on to your LED. This is your LED light bulb. So completely different technology. LED stands for light emitting diode. So there are 120 individual light emitting diodes. They're very small. Probably about half the size of a grain of rice, each one in there, 120 side by side. And as you pass current over these little electronic diodes, they emit light electronically. So that's how they work. Again, they dim quite well. You can see, if you look really, really closely, you can see the diodes. But again, you get a different kind of a light from it. It's a more electronic kind of light than the heat from the fire of the burning tungsten filaments. Still very beautiful in its own right, and they have a place, and they eventually will supersede the incandescent light bulbs. The technology is getting better and better every year, and eventually you won't be able to tell the difference between the two. The major advantages are energy consumption. So this is inputting 4 watts, outputting 40 of light. So you have 10 times the less consumption on full power. So 40 watts, 4 watts. Kind of a no-brainer on that. If you had 20 of these in your house against 20 of these, it's going to save you a lot of money on energy. The lifespan also is greatly increased. So you've got a between 10 to 15 year lifespan typically on most LED light bulbs. Also, the last thing is they're very, very sturdy. There's no inert gas in there. There's nothing sealed. Typically, they are very resilient to tips and bangs and bashes. So not that you should be doing that, but anyway, if accidents do happen. So that's a little bit of an insight on the LED and the incandescent. It's a complete preference for you as to which one you like the look of more. The energy efficiency is a big draw for the LED, but there is something really beautiful about the light output from the incandescent. It's quite like an open fire or a very kind of heat light from heat rather than light from electricity. Anyway, I think you can tell which one I prefer. But yeah, choice is up to yours. We have both available. You can buy the bottle lamp making kit that we just did, with your choice of LED or incandescent light bulb, which is on the website. So I hope that helped. If you have any further questions or if anything I said was completely wrong, let me know. But yeah, best of luck with the making, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.